Okay, I go from talking about my New York Giants to talking about the New York Jets. As a reminder, please subscribe for free if you haven't already. Plenty of free plays and content here to keep you interested, hopefully, in my NFL predictions and bets. But also, if you want all of my NFL plays, got to become a paid subscriber. We believe we offer the best price in the industry for the amount that we win and for the experience we have. So just consider checking us out. Unfortunately, the Jets are still the little brother of the Giants, it seems. And it ain't like the Giants are very good. Trust me, I'm not saying that. But I am saying that I don't think the prospects for the New York Jets, the green team, look all that much better. I fondly remember a time a few seasons ago where Aaron Rodgers was ready to go in that week one game against Buffalo. The emotion, the hype was real. Of course, he was, he's 2 years younger, right? Or maybe it was 3 years ago. I think it was two. So there's just a lot of hope and potential and positivity about what that could mean for the Jets and the talent that they had in their roster. Gets injured, and really for the next two seasons, right? It's a mess. And Aaron Rodgers isn't what he once was, although he's still pretty damn good. But there are foundational issues, organizational issues with the New York Jets, and I don't think that they made it any better necessarily. Now, I'll start with talking about Aaron Glenn, their new coach, came from the Lions, obviously, defensive coordinator, did some really good things over there. As far as being a coach that players like, fitting into the culture, understanding a culture that works and that wins, and certainly improving the Detroit defense, I would just argue that the Lions defense improved as soon as better talent came over. Aiden Hutchinson, Darius Slay at one point. Their secondary was better. Linebacking crew got better. Now he's a part of those decisions, right? So credit to Aaron Glenn for bringing in some of those guys, having an opinion on that. But when they were less talented, their defense was terrible. I like Aaron Glenn, right? If you remember seeing them on Hard Knocks, he's a likable guy. He's a football guy. Players like him. I want him to succeed. That doesn't mean that he will. And this is a really tough situation here with the New York Jets, especially since they chose Justin Fields as their quarterback this season. And if you look at their depth chart, which let me just look at who's behind Justin Fields because I don't. Oh yeah, Tyrod Taylor, who I believe is a little banged up right now. Um, they said he'll be available, but that's their quarterback room, right? And Tyrod has been a backup for most of his career. He's good, not great, mistake prone, now a little banged up. And Justin Fields, you can describe him similarly than that to that. Um, Justin Fields is also a guy you want to cheer for, like Aaron Glenn, Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor. These are guys you want to cheer for. They're try hard dudes, Tyrod and Justin Fields, great athletes, especially Justin Fields. But what we've seen on the field, the true capabilities of Justin Fields as a quarterback, and what Aaron Glenn knows or doesn't know about the offense, and the coordinator positions are questionable too. I don't know if I feel any better about this Jets offense. In fact, I might feel worse, right? Because uh, no more Aaron Rodgers, first of all, which he brings an element that you really can't duplicate, as far as even just intelligence, right, on the offensive line and how he can mix up the audibles and everything. And Justin Fields has yet to prove much of anything. So with that, oh, and I forgot to mention too, Brees Hall, right? Like Brees Hall is a guy that I really thought was going to pop even more last season. Brees Hall is 31st or leads a backfield that's 31st in the league in rush yards per game, 91.8 rush yards per game. So not a lot of changes. They have a better offensive line than I think people might think. Now, again, they were average to below average in pretty much every category last season. Aaron Rodgers kept their pass game legitimate, but they were also the most penalized offense in the NFL. So just a ton of mistakes, very average to below average. Now, their first round, seventh overall pick, Armand Membu, is slated to start on that right side of their offensive line. They were 13th in sacks allowed last season, so they weren't that bad. Not very good in run blocking, that's for sure. But this offensive line is a little better than advertised, better than people would think. They have some good young talent there. So if they can give protection, open up lanes for Justin Fields in the run game, maybe this is a different, more interesting team that becomes more like a Baltimore or Philadelphia type of operation. Run first, get physical, and that certainly seems like the recipe that Aaron Glenn would bring to the table. Excuse me. But big if, right? And they still have Garrett Wilson. Other than that, do not like their pass catchers much at all. But Garrett Wilson is legit. We'll see what that looks like with Justin Fields, who certainly doesn't always get his main guy the ball historically. Defensively last year, very good at preventing yardage, not very good at preventing points, below average in clutch situations like third, fourth, and red zone. Of course, that would make sense if they weren't very good at preventing points. They were top 7 in yards per pass and rush. So and their defense, the talent positions are still there. Quinnen Williams is still a really good defensive lineman, although he had a down year last season. Some of that is because when you're losing, that's kind of what happens. And they also only had 7 interceptions last season, which is pretty low for a group led by Sauce Gardner, who's arguably one of the best, if not the best, cover corners in the NFL. They have some guys at all levels for sure. They got veterans. But again, if their offense lets them down and they're on the field too much, defensive prowess and talent doesn't matter as much either, right? Because then they're overtired, they're underperforming. They did draft some good depth for defense, but no real substantial changes in that regard either. So Aaron Glenn dealing with a good group, not as talented as what he had in Detroit, but they might have to hold the team together again, and that's going to be, I think, a bigger, more pressure-filled situation than he might think. Schedule. The first 6 weeks are very tough for the Jets. At home against Pittsburgh, at home against Buffalo, then at Tampa, at Miami, Dallas at home, Denver at home. This could easily be 0-6. I mean, I give them a chance against Pittsburgh. They're certainly a short underdog at home. Maybe a chance against Miami because they're used to them. A chance against Dallas. We'll see how that operation looks, but I think this is easily an 0-6 situation. A team you might want to target in survivor leagues as a loser. And afterwards, it's better, but they still got Baltimore in there. The AFC East is relatively weak, but I don't think they're any better than Miami or New England. And we know that Buffalo is going to be 2 losses, very, very likely, unless there's like a Josh Allen injury or something. So the AFC East, not the hardest, but for the Jets it is. And then they face the NFC South as well, which is a desired division that you would want to face on your schedule. One of the weaker ones in the NFL. But again, how much weaker are they than the Jets? Like they could beat Carolina, they could beat Atlanta, maybe. I don't think they're going to beat Tampa Bay. I mean, we'll see. It's I just don't feel strongly that the Jets are better than virtually any team on their schedule, unless they face. Do they face the Saints this year? Let's see. You got to look for the Saints in everybody's schedule. Well, that's right, the NFC South, duh. So they do face the Saints, and there's an opportunity there. But if you can't figure it out, I strongly lean under 5.5 wins. There are too many new things going on here for me to be that bullish about it. Maybe Aaron Glenn is a really, really good coach. Maybe Justin Fields has finally found the perfect fit. Maybe this offensive line could really take the next step. There's certainly ingredients there for that to happen, and they become a proficient running team. And then their defense is not in the field as much, so they can perform higher. Like this is what it would look like for the Jets to succeed, because I don't think Justin Fields is going to be that 4,000-yard passer who's going to lead, any offense in that way, especially with the lack of talent they have. So lean under 5.5 wins. There's a picture of what it looks like for better results, but I don't feel that strongly about it, unfortunately. I think there are many more changes that have to happen for the Jets, but I hope they keep and let Aaron Glenn develop into the franchise, because at least from a character perspective, he brings that, right? And that's what this team needs. This team needs continuity, and they need character. On to the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles, as much as I hate to say that, coming up next.